God, the universe, whatever you love to call it, so that I don't offend many religious people. When I say universe, they don't like that. They come to dislike you when you say universe, and yet that's my preference, and yet God is their preference. So sometimes I overly broaden everything by just saying God in place of the universe. But why do I think that the universe or God is a she? Why is that? I'm asked that. Why do I feel God and or the universe is she? I think or feel God, universe, is a she because I've heard in the past by various religions that you are made in the image of God, right? Spiritually, you're made in the image of God on a spiritual, deep level, all things being connected. And yet I've also heard those very same individuals tell me that humans, outside of just your spirit, is made in the image of God. So basically your whole being of humanness as well as spirituality aspect, all of your whole being, your complete being is made in the image of God. And yet we hold imperfect ways and sin supposedly. What I've always tried to understand is, how could an individual of all nationalities be made in the image of God, and yet you want to sit telling me that God is only a he? For me, that does not make sense. Because see, to be in the image of God is to know, I'm saying spiritually, and even as a human, I'm saying to know and understand that you're made in the image of God is to know and understand that there's just not male species roaming this earth. There are in fact female species that roam this earth. And yet to have both is to have a dual, which presents balance. Because see, you cannot have female without male, and you cannot have male without female. You must have both of them in order for the universe and the whole world to obtain balance. How you create babies is to have both sexes or genders or whatever. And yet that's not really, for me, when I speak of genders, that doesn't even completely exist until humans put a title and a label to it. See, all this has been constructed by humans. I'm saying all this is man-made for you to know your place in society all across the globe, which leads to confusion for many people in the area of gender when they feel that they don't exist. They feel like there's people who are of certain genders and yet they don't fit completely in with those genders, so they consider themselves non-binary because they're just fitting in with the label of I'm a female, I'm a male, I'm straight, I'm gay, whatever else, because society expects them. And so society can know where you fit, and so that society can tell you your place in life. That's all been constructed, man-made, and I feel probably not by God. But moving on. So you can't tell me that God, in the area of Christianity, you can't tell me that God is just a male. That the whole spirit of God is just a male. You can't tell me that. Because remember, rewind the tape back to if you say that God, we're all created in the image of God, whether woman, man, child, or whatever else, even animals being in the image of God, right? Even those animals have feminine and male qualities. The species, they have both male and female. And us being human, we too have that. The most womanly woman that you can see in public or even in traffic has both the qualities of feminine and masculine qualities. And so in order for that woman or even that man to be very manly and yet have both masculine and feminine qualities, is to know, okay, he's been told he's been created in the image of God. Okay, so what is God? God must in fact be both masculine and feminine. And yet many people want to argue with me on this, and yet it's common sense. To be created in the image of God is to come from the very thing which is like you. That's only common sense and logic. Because see, God creates all individuals which have masculine and feminine qualities, so why doesn't God possess those very things? And yet all across you got rabbits and lizards and everything else, and dogs and cats that got those very same masculine and feminine qualities. And yes, you can see it if you observe and you reach and look deep into activity as it's going on. Observe animals for what they do. You will see both qualities. And yet I'm constantly told God is just a he. Well, if God is just a he, how can there be, in fact, women who are created in his image? How could there be women given earth right here on this land all across the globe, and yet no men are able to conceive? How is that? The image of God. See, if I am a God and I give birth to I give birth to not just one human, but to billions of humans, and these humans came to exist based off of one individual or two individuals, like they say Adam and Eve and the rib and all that other stuff. If I am a God and I give birth to one human, and those human, they evolved to be 7.6 billion here in 2018, that goes to show you that God must in fact be either a woman or be a woman and a man, and yet a woman first. Because I keep saying over and over, how could you be in the image of God and yet none of these men can have babies? Science and technology right now is trying to research on how men are able to have babies, conceive and all that like a woman. If that's not possible, and yet giving birth to human beings is only possible for women, then what does that show you about God? If I am a God and I'm creating human beings, I've created one human being, which led to all these billions of people that have actually, they conceived, and so all these other human beings are born, but yet it all started with one human. If I created that, whether out of the womb or not, because that's why I said, well, God could look like an alien. Who knows? God might not even look completely like us. God might have the face of a lizard. Who knows? And that's not a joke. That's just to take it for what it is. See, I ask questions outside of what the normal person asks, and this has gotten me in trouble with religious folks, especially religious black folks, because of slavery, they don't dare ask any type of question because they feel like to ask questions is to be disowned. And for me, I care not to be disowned in this area because I must know. I need to know why I'm here on earth, why things are in existence, why I'm told various things, and why certain things don't add up. Rewinding the tape. So, you're a human made in God's image. Many of these women are the only species who seem to only be able to conceive. Did they say, does anyone know, or did they ever say if animals which are masculine and male, if they're able to conceive and have babies? I know that there's actual animals that can give birth without actual sex from a male. I'm saying a female. There's animals out here that can get pregnant without a male being involved. They self-impregnate. That's what I'm trying to say. So going back to what I was saying, how can God be completely a he? How and why is God a complete he, and yet to create babies is to come from she? How is that? How is it? I want you, the person that's watching this, I want you to tell me, because see, people a lot of times, they don't sit back, of all nationalities, they don't sit back and ask this very thing that I'm asking. And yet to ask something like this is to be too much for certain individuals, because Supposedly it uses up too much brain power. That's what I was told. I was told that I think too much, I question too much, and that it uses too much brain power to act something like this. And yet God supposedly is just a he. That can't be. That cannot be. I'm sitting next to a dog right now who's supposedly made in God's image, in the image of God. By human standards, I'm saying religious standards will tell me that this dog is made in image of God. This dog has the aggression of a male at times because he's a boy. But not only that, he shows the qualities of a female. He can get very soft and docile. Yes, he can. He shows himself more female sometimes anything than he does male. Yes, he does. So I'm always in question of the area of God by religious standards. See, some of these people that's all around the globe need to be presented with this question and answer. You can't just go by what you were told and that's it. That's not the end of the story. Because see, one day life will literally sit you down and you will be forced to question everything you did not see. And all will be completely brought to your awareness on what you failed to bypass and understand and see that everything that you are being taught is not completely real. Because to be taught something man-made is to, yes, understand that information is given by God or the universe. It has to come from somewhere. But at the same time, we go back to the image of God. Because remember, I'm always presented with that. You are made in the image of God. Well, even I have male and feminine qualities. And yet, once again, I'm able to give birth just like God is. So what is God? What, in fact, is God? I ain't ever met one man that was known as God to take it upon himself to say, I'm going to wake up one day and create a whole bunch of children from one. I'm going to just create one child. Slash that what I just said. I never met anybody that just said, I'm God. I'm going to make everybody in my image. I'm going to make this one individual in my image, and yet I'm completely man doing it. I'm a man doing it with the title known as God. I don't think that happens. God had to have some female qualities and more feminine qualities being the dominant. I'm saying in God. Within the four walls of God, there has to be more feminine qualities than male qualities. I don't know why, but I keep sensing this. And I've been sensing this since around 2012, 2013. I've been sensing this for quite a long time, that God is a dominant figure in the area of femininity. God dominates feminine energy. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to get to. See, if I continue to present this to Christians, a lot of times they'll scream me all up and down the block and all around the corner and scream me out the house of the simple fact God cannot be that God is only man. A masculine being. That's what most Christians, when they argue with me, they'll say, no, what you're saying is not right. No, what you're saying is completely not right. But when I break it down the way that I just broke it down, they get angry sometimes and show a bitter resentment for me to even go this far in questioning. One individual is a full-blown Christian. I don't judge her for that. That's her life. But when I broke it down like this, she was like, well, I do think that God is a feminine spirit. She didn't have nothing to say. She couldn't back it up with anything of her argument, her side. Because see, when I say stuff like this, it's not to make a debate. No, it's not. It's to make you question more than everything that you've been told. That's my point in position, is to make you question that. Because nothing adds up. It never does. And that's the point. That could be why the universe or God has not really given complete answers. Who knows? But she said, after I said that, she got real quiet because she's very, very biblical. I mean, extremely biblical. You can't tell her nothing about nothing. But when I said, well, how come God created one, however that first individual was created? How did God create that and yet he's only a man? And yet we're made in his image, and yet no man is able to conceive. That does not make sense. Well, on my end, it makes sense of where I'm putting the puzzle pieces together. But yeah, she just was like, God is in the Bible. That's what she said. She got real quiet and she was like, in the Bible, it says God's spirit is more feminine than masculine. And my point in position when I present stuff like this is not to make people look stupid. No, it's not. It's never, any information like this is never used to present to make people look stupid. No, it's not. I give information for you to help you to decipher your current beliefs and why they are the way that they are. And who told you they should be the way that they are. Even in the area of incest, I want to make a video about incest too, because hopefully I don't forget. Yes, I believe in incest in the area of, if you're going to practice incest or whatever that is, see, I never practiced that type of thing. And yet to have an open mind about stuff is to understand where you come from. Okay, so if humans got to be the 7.6 billion, how did we in fact get that way? If there was only one man and one woman, as they say, Adam and Eve or whoever, right? How did we come to be that way? That means incest was being practiced back then, right? It was being practiced back then. I'm saying in the area of cousins or whoever was sleeping with whoever to get to this large population. We're all connected because we all come from incest. And I'm saying, if you're going to practice that type of stuff, then make sure it's not against the law. I'm saying don't be just raping people and all this other stuff, areas where they don't want to practice incest. I'm saying there has to be some legality behind that in the area of practicing. It should be consenting adults is what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, if I look at, I'm going way past the Bible. If human species supposedly was created, and I don't even believe in religion all like that, as I said in the last video. If humans was being, it's just common sense that you were created and came to be from one or two individuals. Those individuals have to be spread out in the area of incest being involved. So, I mean, knowing that human existence, humanity as a whole was created like that, and we're all already related, thousands of miles away in the area of bloodline, then I have no choice but to believe in that incest. That makes no sense for me to say, you know what, incest is completely sick and it's a disgrace to humankind. I've heard individuals say that incest is sick and it's a disgrace. Amongst consenting adults, it's a sickness and disgrace, and yet you came to be on this earth within this whole population of 7.6 billion by relatives screwing each other to create where we are living in today, this massive population that would have never existed. So that's why I believe in certain things in the area of stuff like that. I don't have no choice, because that'd be foolish on my end to know that I'm standing here because of incest that happened way in the beginning of time where there was only one woman and one man. I might not really believe in the Bible, but I believe in that. I believe in that. Yes, I do. Somebody had to take it upon themselves, you know what, to say, you know what, we're human life. We don't want to die out. So we're going to screw a cousin by consent of legal law so that we can make more populations of people. Yes, but yet, God being a he, she, or a man, woman. See, everywhere I go, I see all type of people that I know that are straight in sexuality, and that I can look at them and still see both masculine and feminine qualities as they're standing there. I could be in the grocery store and see it. and see them and see it, both masculine and feminine qualities. So if I'm seeing all this, then you know what it tells me the answer is about God. God is in fact a whole lot more than what you actually know. Step outside of what you believe and your practices to try to question and understand. What you think and feel about that? And no offense, I'm just stating.